All right.
God, I hear a crane or something. Jeez. The water. I need a Kleenex.
Hey, you calling in? Okay, keep up. Checking on a couple of things. Couple more minutes. Just Councillors Hassan and Morrow, eh? Missing?
Yes.
Hassan.
Yeah. All right.
Hello?
Yep.
We got you.
Okay, well, little roll call here. We do have the deputy mayor. We've got Councillor Lafferty, Bellefontaine, McPherson, Grote, and Hassan online. And we also have Mike Drake from MACA attending. And
Okay.
we're going to start our meeting. We just got the one councillor missing. We'll see if he calls in or not, but we'll start our meeting. So I need a motion to basically adopt the agenda of the special meeting. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Okay, Councillor Hassan moves the motion, which would read that council adopts the agenda of a special meeting SM04-2020 as presented, because we really can't make a change at this point to a special meeting agenda. And do I have a seconder?
I'll second it, Marie.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Lafferty. Thank you. So once again, that council adopts the agenda of a special meeting SM04-2020 as presented, and roll call. Deputy Mayor Antoine, are you in favor?
Yes.
Councillor Lafferty?
Yes.
Councillor Bellefontaine?
Yes.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Grote?
Yes.
Councillor Hassan?
Yes.
All right. So we've got 6 votes in favor, none against. Motion is carried. We'll adopt our agenda. And I've got well, I don't believe we had anybody receive notification from Councillor Morrow. Did we receive anything at the office? Did any councillor get notification of why he wouldn't be able to attend this meeting? Because if not, I won't even bother with the motion excusing from the special meeting.
He might be late, but he might reconnect with us.
Okay.
20 minutes, I think.
All right, we'll move on then. Now, just to get this item onto the floor, I have a motion that reads that council will reopen the landfill with conditions as follows. And maybe before we do that, I'll let the SAO, Mr. White, go over the administration's recommendations and thoughts on that. And then perhaps one of the councillors will be able to move a motion in that general direction, okay? If I can invite the SAO to speak on that issue.
Thank you, Your Worship. After our meeting last Monday, we were able to have some discussion with staff with respect to opening up. And through those discussions, we looked at proposing the following. That we open 1 day per week on Saturdays. Regular, normal Saturday hours, starting this coming Saturday. Just one customer in at a time. Through the month of May, residential customers will just dump free, so there'll be no need to interact with the attendant other than for him to control the in and the out. Commercial customers will continue to report their load to the attendant, and we are putting in place some measures that will give the attendant proper isolation protection protocols. And so that's been completed. Then at the end of May, we would reassess and see where we're at with the governmental restrictions and see if it's appropriate to open further. And also on the spring cleanup, we would propose to start the week of May 11th. We'd run it 4 weeks, with recognizing that we may go beyond the 4 weeks should there still be a need identified. And we talked about the whole commercial residential aspect and are recommending only the residential be part of the spring cleanup. Commercial can still take their material, but it would be business as usual. We would be picking up large items, and this would be washers, dryers, couches, things of that nature. Any vehicles that are drained of all fluids. And as well, we would also look to encourage fire smarting procedures this year. We would pick up brush and support that through the spring with brush at the curbside. We would be asking the residents between now and the 11th to bring their materials to the curb so that when we start up on the 11th, we're good to go. The materials are there and hopefully get through this as quickly as we can. I do know Councillor Grote had been speaking with other members of the community who had provided some inputs, and I think that's been circulated to council as well. So I guess that's our perspective from staff, and we can open the floor for further discussion.
Mm-hmm. All right, and we still don't have a complete motion. It's waiting for somebody to add the details. It could either be that we move ahead with administration's recommendations on the landfill, the Saturday opening, and the spring cleanup as per his description, or you can say something else. Does anybody want to move on?
I would,
Okay.
I did extensive inquiries amongst various members of the community, and pretty much the person, everybody fails to see why we would put one day yesterday
Must be Clayton.
where you will create a crowding situation if there is such a thing on a 20-acre plot. We do not understand why regular is not in effect. If the staff wants to share it amongst the bunch, that's part of the problem. I do not know. But it just makes no sense why we would close the dump and still go buy our groceries all at the same time in Northern. I would like to propose I've sent it around pretty much everybody. Open the landfill to regular hours. Provide proper protective equipment for all affected staff. Waive tipping fees until May 31st, 2020 to avoid close contact between customers and staff. That includes business customers also. Reevaluate at the end of May. Sign to warn customers of physical distancing in effect. Large item pickup starts now and ends May 31st for both residential and business customers. And then my last statement on this one is the business community is struggling at this time, and it would be a very good time for the village to step forward and support them by just waiving the fees at the landfill for them and allowing them to pick up. I honestly do not believe you'll see a massive where everybody starts demolishing the buildings. I think people will be reasonable. If you're comfortable, we can deal with it, or say next year it's not fun. Right, but I would propose that we put forward that motion.
All right. Is there a seconder to that motion?
Don, did you read that motion to us?
I didn't read it. Councillor Grote did, and I have no way of repeating what he just said. So it basically entails opening up the landfill pretty much as it has been in the past, with some conditions on having extra protective equipment available to the landfill operator, and reassessing, I believe, at the end of May was what Councillor Grote said. But and then to have the spring cleanup open to everybody at the landfill.
I'll step in for just a second here.
Yep.
That is an email I sent to every councillor and everybody around, all councillors and Daryl and everybody around. So you all should have a copy of that.
Yeah, we could get that, and but that's the gist of it. And when it comes to the writing up the minutes, we'll be able to take the actual wording from the email. But we need a seconder if we're going to proceed with that discussion on that particular motion. If there's no seconders, we'll move on. Somebody, yep.
And I was asking about that motion you were beginning to read at the beginning of the meeting.
All that says is that council will reopen the landfill with conditions as follows, and then there's a blank. So basically, Councillor Grote did fill in the blank, but if I don't get a seconder, then I would need somebody else to propose something else, or we could default to the conditions as outlined by administration, just to get it on the floor. Why don't we do that?
Can you call for a discussion?
Well, technically, we shouldn't be discussing the topic till we get a mover and a seconder, so it's on the table. That's all. It doesn't have to be that ends up being what is discussed or passed, I should say.
I will second the motion.
Okay, so that's seconding the motion as presented by Councillor Grote, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that's the motion. And open the floor now to discussion. Councillor Grote, I take it you basically had first crack at it. Does anybody else want to say something?
Celine here. I have a question for Daryl.
Okay, well, question to me and I'll pass it through. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, then to you. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sure at the last meeting or so, there was restrictions placed on municipal sanitation. Not too clear on that. Could you explain what the chief public health officer had done in terms of restrictions on the dump?
Okay, well, maybe, yeah, we can pass that along, just to see in general terms, I guess, what was talked about by the chief public health officer. There's a lot of conditions, right? And some of them are quite general as far as protecting your employees, and each employer and municipality probably has to assess its own conditions to see if it's complying with the overall intent of her directives. But go ahead, Daryl, did you have anything to add to that?
It just, it flowed out of restrictions that were, or enhanced restrictions brought forward, I believe 2 weekends ago. And it was about outdoor gatherings, it was about bottle depots, some of those things that they were making further restrictions or just putting measures in place that were more protective. We just went from those, that information and just assessed where else, what other departments should we be looking at that could be affected by those types of things, and we looked at the landfill. Wondered about how we could best put some of these measures in place and the intent of the measure while keeping the service available to the public, at a reduced amount, with appointments being part of the new setup. And given that the entire residential pickup was still continuing, and our contractor PR within their contract, and knowing that they were taking their own measures as a contractor with respect to PPE and things of that nature, we just felt that with the residential getting picked up and delivered and taken to the landfill, that these tightening up and putting these restrictions in for a period of time was more safe, I guess, in the long run.
Okay, I think I missed part of what you had just said, Daryl. I'm so sorry. There was some interference.
Mr. Mayor, meanwhile.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. I think we are missing the point. This issue, I don't even see why are we getting ourselves in the weed about opening the dump, closing the dump. My concern or my request is the administration. We want this service to be, the dump service to be available for the residents and for the business. We don't want any complaint. How it happened, how they do it. For me, I don't see any reason for the council to move a motion. Why are we moving a motion? We want this service to be available for people, and we don't want to hear any complaints. Really, that's it. How it is, I don't even see reason for us to interfere deeply in getting a resolution for that. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to vote for it because I don't even see the reason for this motion. Administration, we want the dump to be accessible for the public, for the business, and we want the people, the customers, those people satisfaction. We don't want any complaints. How you do it, we don't know. We want our employees to be safe, work in healthy environment. How you do it, there is protective measures they have to take, and that's it. You guys do it. Thank you.
Okay.
Sean, Mike Blake here. Can I just have a quick comment?
Go ahead there, Mike.
Well, I'm not going to comment on what the Chief Public Health Officer said and what the rules currently are around these types of things. What I will tell you is that the Chief Public Health Officer just came out this evening with a brand new order. I don't know what's in it. What I do know, I just got out of a meeting a few minutes ago that quite clear that there is enhanced measures in the new order. So you might want to just, I don't know, maybe just have a look at the new order before you start deciding what you're going to do with stuff like that. Maybe, I'm just saying.
Hmm.
That's all I'm saying. I don't know what the order says. I just know this is a brand new order that came out this evening. And it'd be really good to know what it says before you kind of decide what to do with public, I think.
Right. Is there any way to look at that right now? Is it online, Mike?
I don't believe so. I believe it's like a couple hours fresh. It's just come out. It just came out today and it's out this evening now. I don't know whether you can get it online or not. I'm not sure.
Right.
Daryl sent it to us, didn't you, Daryl?
I sent a couple of things just before the meeting. I don't know if that,
You would have had a copy of that to send. I doubt if you would have had a copy of that.
No, I don't think it was that though.
the thing we seen, Mike, was related to workers, essential service workers and infrastructure workers that will be coming into the territories.
So no, she's put out a whole new
Okay,
order. They said the last one expired on the 28th. There's a
okay,
new one out now. Same as the territorial state of emergency. We're expecting a new one to be out right away as well.
we haven't seen those.
So the chief public health officer's order is currently out the door, but I don't know how far out the door. I just know it's just this evening, so.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I can tell you. I don't know what it says. So I've just been told it's an enhanced version with some stronger measures. That's been made clear to us by the Department of Health. Oh, okay.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I probably should have said something sooner, but I just was going, so I just thought I'd better mention this before you get too far down the road with this.
Yeah. So does anyone want to table the motion?
Can I speak on this one too before we get tabled on this one, or do I?
Sure. Go ahead, Councillor Grove.
Just a couple of things. I think Moz actually is right on with this one. The administration closed it, so administration should be able to close it. I will ask the chief health officer, I will ask everybody, please explain to me how we have to close the dump to protect our staff from social distancing. If somebody can satisfactorily explain to me why we're closing the dump, I'm all for it, because I do not want the spread of this virus in our community. I don't want anything to do with it anywhere, period. So if there is some safety concerns, I'm all in. But in this one, I just fail to see where safety isn't even an issue here. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. And that's where I am.
Can I say one more thing really quickly, Sean?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I just wanted to make it perfectly clear. I don't have any opinion one way or the other. I don't know what that new order says. It may or may not have any bearing on this whatsoever. I really don't know that for sure. I just don't know that you should make a decision while you're not fully informed. That's all I'm saying.
How can we find out who are the people that were at the meeting? Is it health was there? Did it come from Yellow? That order come from Yellowknife? Pardon me?
I say, Sean, you want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm thinking tomorrow, Marie, for sure we can get an answer on this one, but we'll get some more information first thing tomorrow morning. I'm almost positive.
Okay.
Kirby here again.
Yep.
We got an email from Daryl just a little while ago here, and it says the backgrounder to amendments to the March 21st COVID-19 public health order. On April 27th, the Chief Public Health Officer introduced the amendments to the March 21st public health order. The purpose of the new requirements, anyone who has been outside the Northwest Territories, etc., and who do these amendments apply to is what it's saying right here. And
So yeah, that's the actual order. That's just a backgrounder. I'll get the actual order for you so you know what it says.
okay, no problem.
Celine?
Yep, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, I move we table it until we have all the information to make a decision on this. Thank you.
All right, it's a move to table. Is there a seconder?
Mohan,
Okay, Councillor Hassan has moved to table.
no. Sorry, it's not moving to table. You know, I think we don't need a motion. This is up to the administration. If the administration and the staff, if the staff feel safe and the administration think that they open it for 1 day, it's their call. If they open it for 2 days, it's their call. We don't have to interfere in this issue. There should be no motion. Why don't we let the administration deal with this matter?
Right, but the only way you're going to either stop discussion or stop the motion from moving ahead at this point is to table it.
It's on the floor.
You can vote it. You can vote it down if you like, but we'll keep it on the table unless it is tabled for a future date. So just once again, so Deputy Mayor tabled it, made a motion to table the Kirby's original motion. Is there a seconder? Okay, I don't hear a seconder. So,
I ask a procedural issue thing here.
yeah,
We should, whose job is it to close the dump? Is it council's job or administration's job? I believe closing the dump is a council's vote to the administration, is the way I would think it should be. At this point, I think the dump should be open until council closes it.
Celine here.
yep,
I
Deputy
think
Mayor.
at any other time we may be able to vote to close it down, but we're in a pandemic, and the CPHO has strong recommendations, and now we just heard that they have new recommendations or enhancements to what we don't know. So to be compliant, we need to read that, and then leave it up to the administration.
Yeah. Anybody have any other thoughts on the, well, last call for a seconder to the tabling, because if I don't hear it, then we're right back.
This is Councillor Bellefontaine. I will second to table this.
Okay. Okay, so that becomes the motion we're dealing with right now. And do you want to just have a vote on that then right away? I'll do a roll call. This would be to table. Councillor or Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Councillor Lafferty?
Yes.
Councillor Bellefontaine?
Yes.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Grote? To table? Councillor Grote? Okay, Councillor Grote? Maybe he's not here. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going around the table asking yes or no on to table this motion.
For some reason, my sound went off or your sound went off. I say no.
Okay. Councillor Hassan? To table or not?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay. I will get you down there. And Councillor Morrow? Yes, no, or abstain on tabling?
Yes, table.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
I missed part of that. Is anybody else missed it or was it just me?
I think you were the one that said no, and with 1 abstention, 5 yeses to table. So I guess pending the outcome of some enhanced directives from the public health officer, we'll have to reconvene and discuss further the recommendations and the options available.
We will be meeting again next Monday, Your Worship, so we may be at a place to nail down which direction we want to go in.
Okay. All right, so we continue to work towards getting some kind of, and I mean, I don't know if that stops administration from reviewing what the public health officer has to say and starting to move ahead with some easing of the restrictions on the dump in advance of that meeting. Because it seems as though there definitely is some wish to do that, but still we have to wait to see what these recommendations look like. And then if we aren't satisfied with the level of accessibility at the dump, we can always discuss that further on Monday's regular council meeting. How does that sound then?
Sounds good.
Okay, so that's where we sit with that. Okay, I don't really have a motion to deal with the resignation,
There is no requirement.
or no, okay, so,
Just an acknowledgement.
yeah. Yeah, certainly that's the second item on the agenda is the resignation of Councillor Rowe, and we did receive the written, emailed confirmation with a signature that he had resigned. And now that opens up the options available to the council to do one of several things. And that's why I invited Mike Drake with MACA to come in on our meeting to perhaps just go over some of the options for us. And Mike, did you want to chime in on that there?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure. You know, first thing I wanted to comment on is I've been listening pretty carefully to how you guys are operating, and I'm pretty impressed. You guys are doing a real good job making this work. The teleconferencing can be really difficult, especially council meetings. I understand that. You guys are all been spectacular. Really well done.
Thanks,
Anyways,
Mike.
let's get on to what we're going to be talking about is something called the Local Authorities Elections Act. That's the area where you guys get the authority to make the decision on how to replace a councillor. It's called the Vacancies in Office section 47 of the Act. And it's pretty obvious. It gives you three options. And rather than read it all to you, I'll just paraphrase for you because it's easier to do that. Of course, the first option is to do nothing. Sorry, before I carry on, I can't remember. I wanted to look before I had this meeting. I didn't get a chance. I've been really busy. When was your last election? Was it last fall?
2018.
Okay, so your next election is this coming fall.
Not this year, October of 2021.
Oh, one more year. Okay,
So
so a year and a half to go still.
Basically a year and a half, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's clear. Okay, thank you very much. Just for clarification, I wasn't positive. I didn't get a chance to check. So the first choice is obviously to do nothing, and the Act's pretty clear. That's the first kind of choice. The second option, and these aren't necessarily in any order of preference, that's for sure. They're just listed the way they are. Appointing a person who is eligible as a candidate, so that's a eligible voter. That's anybody that's an eligible voter in town. The third option is to hold a by-election. And of course, there's a few different variables with all of those things, obviously. So it's going to be a year and a half until the next election. That's an awful long time to leave it vacant, for starters. I don't recommend that for sure. That's too long. The second one is to appoint somebody. That's, that's clearly legal. It may not be considered by a lot of folks to be very democratic. I've heard that echoed many times over my time as source. I should also mention I'm actually the Deputy Chief Municipal Electoral Officer for North Smith Territories for the last 13 years. So I've heard these complaints many times about the undemocratic of appointing people. Although it's legal, should you choose to do that. And of course, the third option is to hold a by-election. And the only problem with having a by-election right today or tomorrow or even within the next few weeks is, of course, the social distancing and the challenges of having an election at this time with the pandemic going on. So, I'll make a recommendation. It's entirely up to you guys how you decide to move forward. I'm just going to make a recommendation that you postpone a by-election for 2 months until things kind of clear up a bit, so it's easier to have an election, so you're not so strict of social distancing rules, and you can actually hold an election 2 or 3 months, whatever it takes, as opposed to rushing and having put people at risk by having a by-election, or doing the option that you may get a lot of feedback on, the appointing. I don't know, you tell me. and the one option to do nothing, which is just too long. So that's what I would recommend. Is the third option really is to take the by-election, but I would add a caution to postpone it for just a few months. So leave the position open for a few months, and then have a by-election is what I'm recommending, and that's perfectly within the act. Sean?
Okay, thanks, Mike. Anybody have any questions about that?
Mike,
Go ahead, Celine.
Mike, is there across the NWT with any municipal election being put on hold as a restriction by the CPHO?
So that it's really got nothing to do with the order. The only reason the only connection to the order is that you just can't have a lot of people together. And no, there's not currently any other jurisdictions that are having an election right now, or need to have an election right now. This is a little bit of an anomaly because of the councillor's resignation. But yeah, so there is a component of the chief public health officer's order by not having the crowded thing. That's why the postponement. I would say that's the only reason for that. So
Yeah.
Okay.
And right now, you said that she just made a new order, making it like what's the state of emergency up to today, and the announcement is that she's extending it further.
no. So what I'm told, what I'm led to believe is both the chief public health officer's order and the territorial state of emergency both expired on the 28th, which is today, I guess.
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow rather, sorry. So they've just come up with a new order. The chief public health officer's got a brand new order to go forward from the 28th. I don't know exactly what it says yet. It's been let out. There's people that have it. I don't have it though. So anyways, that's coming out. And there's a speculation on my part whether or not they're going to actually extend the territorial state of emergency. I would suspect so, but I can't say for sure.
So it's still unforeseen for how long we're under the restriction of social distancing.
Again, the chief public health officers, it's actually 2 weeks at a time. The order comes out for every 2 weeks. So it's for sure going to be for another 2 weeks, I can tell you that. And I can't speak beyond that. I have no idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
Kirby here. Just a question from me.
Yes.
If we said, okay, we're going to hold an election, we're going to do it right now, what are we, about 6 weeks from it actually coming to fruition?
That's right. I think it's a 6 week.
No, not exactly 6 weeks. No, it wouldn't take that long. It depends on what you want to do. It could be a month, but
Okay.
again, the only problem with that is it's a bit of speculation. So after we see the order and see what it says, that would be a little clearer to understand I know what you're thinking, Kirby. I think once we see the order, it'd be easier to have a look and sort of speculate a little better.
Okay, I'm okay with that. It's just, I was just looking, the end of June would be really nice to have it by then, if it would be allowed. As far as social distancing, we have large buildings like the rec center there. You can bring people in one end and have large spacing. They move on, they do their tick box there, and then they move on out. So you can move flow one direction. It can be done. It's without too much worry about it. But anyway, that's fine.
Well, from I'll be honest with you, from the deputy chief public health officer, municipal elections officer talking, I've seen people going in and out of the Walmart in one side and then out the other door. Well, they've got more people going out of the Walmart per day than we got in our community, so it's doable.
I myself would think we should try and target, say, the end of June, because July is an ugly time to do it. It's a lot easier to get it in June. I don't know. Who knows this year? Maybe nobody's taking down for holidays. I guess everything's a lot different now, isn't it? That's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else have some thoughts before we develop some kind of motion? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Hassan.
I believe, we are very optimistic that things are going to be better and this COVID-19 by June is going to be better. But until now, there is no any indications that things are going to be better in June or July or whatever. As it's one of the options that we could appoint, why don't we? And it's not the first time, I believe, even the previous. I think the previous council went that way, that we have some people from the list who run for the council, and they have less votes than the people who are councillors right now. Why don't we? And those people, honestly, I don't remember the numbers, or I don't remember the numbers of the voters, but I believe that the next one was 109. Are we in the by-election expecting that we have 109 persons are going to come and vote for the by-election? I doubt. And with this situation of the COVID-19, if we wait until September, October, November, December, I don't think we'll be able to get the people to vote. So, as our choice, I wanna put this choice on the table for people to think about. Why don't we see the next person who got the highest vote, the next person, and get appoint that person? Thank you.
Right. Just to clarify, I guess a little bit, you did say the last person had 109. I think Councillor Hassan, it was probably more like about 190 some votes, and just based on the history of Fort Simpson, I do know that there have been by-elections and there have been appointments, sometimes going down a list. Usually if a by-election had been in between, they just continue to have more by-elections. But it's true that the turnout at by-elections is traditionally quite low, just because there's fewer people running. And I would imagine if the COVID restrictions were in place to any degree, people would even feel less inclined to vote. People aren't going to put themselves even in a minimal amount of risk usually for civic politics. So you end up with a kind of a different type of election. I wouldn't call it like a practice in widespread democracy. Let's put it that way.
See, the people next in line were AJ and Randy. I don't know who was highest.
We do have a list somewhere. I think it is Mr. Sibiston is the next highest.
Excuse me, I don't think we can go back a year and a half and start looking at who all ran a year and a half ago. That's way too far back to go.
Celine here.
Deputy Mayor.
I kind of thinking towards what Maz and Marie are thinking. I guess whoever the next person would be, but I would like to give it more thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like a week.
Right. Yeah. Nothing says we have to make a choice tonight. Yeah. As they say, there's always that alternative that just no decision is made. So we're not in a rush. We could have that time to decide if you'd like.
Okay, we can decide by next meeting.
Okay. Is that kind of the majority viewpoint that we wait?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we can certainly put it on our regular scheduled meeting as an item. There was an opportunity, I guess, to move ahead and take care of this item tonight if you wanted, but we can just put it off until Monday. So if everybody's good with that, or the majority anyway, that's what we'll do. And that was the last item on the agenda. If anybody had anything else to say regarding that item?
Councilor Morrow, I'm not opposed to appointing someone from the last election on to council.
Okay. So it's a bunch of slightly differing opinions here. I don't know if we'd get a majority on any one particular route to go. I hear a couple people saying the list. One's definitely tilting to the by-election. A couple are sort of saying maybe wait. Is that a right assessment there? If somebody wanted to move a motion, they could.
I think as they want to wait, I think it's a good idea that we can. I don't have any problem to wait even after the September if they want to wait. But do we have, according to the CTV Act, can we go without that position get filled?
We can.
How long?
Until next October.
Mike, is that right? We can?
Yeah, you could theoretically leave it open till the next election.
Okay, so that means we have 4 options.
No, that's your third. There's 3 options. Leave it open till the next election. Appoint or
Okay,
by-election.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Put a motion on the floor that we go to by-election, the date to be determined, we reevaluate, let me say, last 2 weeks of June, reevaluate at the council meeting on the 1st of June. How's that sound?
Mr. Mayor, can I say something?
Well, he moved that motion, so if I could just let that process unwind itself here and see if, first of all, if I got his motion correctly, unless it's a point of order or something, Counselor. I'm just going to try to finish.
We already agreed to think about it and come to the next meeting while we're moving a motion now.
Well, that was kind of a consensus type of discussion. It wasn't really a formal resolution, and it seems as though we do have one now. So I think we might as well just go through this and see where it leads. That council hold a by-election to be held for the vacant council position. The date to be set. You said something about July or June, Councillor Grove? Set.
I'm going to suggest about that between this time to find out if it's safety can be done by then, etc.
So in accordance with the CPHO's directives and at the earliest date. How about that? That kind of include what you're trying to say. It would read, council hold a by-election to be held for the vacant council position, the date to be set in accordance with the CPHO's directives and at the earliest date possible. So it would depend on how those directives are interpreted and when the really public health emergency is probably over. But it would set a direction.
That sounds good, Sean.
Okay, well, we'll leave it like that for now. If somebody wants to amend it, they can. So he's moved the motion, but I do need a seconder. Someone would have to second that to bring it to the table for a discussion and a vote.
Second it. Marie Lafferty will second it.
Okay, Councillor Lafferty seconds. Okay, so moved by Councillor Grote. Seconded by Councillor Lafferty. All right, so discussion. Councillor Grote, you already have spoken. So Councillor Hassan, you go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm against this idea. If we pass this motion, we are blocking our possibility for the other choices. So why are we deciding to move a motion that if we move this motion and if this motion is being passed, then we don't have any way to think? We earlier say that the consensus to think about what's our options, and it's going to block our options. So Are you guys aware of that? This motion, that means if we pass this motion, or if this motion is passed, that means we took the decision to block our other three options.
Right,
Thank you.
right. And certainly,
Same here.
yeah, Deputy Mayor?
That's just in line with what Maz is saying. I want to hear what the CPHO is going to say tomorrow, and that we can discuss this further at the next meeting.
Okay. Any other
I thought
thoughts?
we had a consensus on that. So,
Right.
Kirby, you can reintroduce that again the next week, but we just want to I just want to think about it more.
Okay. But yeah, definitely we're gonna have a vote on it because we got a mover and a seconder unless somebody moved to table, and then we'd have another vote to see if it gets put to the side.
Had I known you're going to make that motion, then I would have made the motion that we should wait till next week to decide until we hear from the CPHO tomorrow.
Okay, so you got a choice there, Deputy Mayor. You can either move to table or just vote against this motion when it comes to the vote. And then it'll reset everything for Monday's meeting in that case anyway. All right, anybody else have anything else?
Councillor Belfontaine here.
Yes, go ahead.
I tend to agree that before making any quick decisions, we should wait to hear the public health order, see where we're at. If they're making the restrictions, they're having enhanced restrictions, then we're not really sure when this could happen. So maybe we should wait until we know more on that and make a more informed decision. I don't think it hurts to wait till next Monday, personally.
Right. Okay, thank you. And
I think we should just vote on this motion.
okay, so yeah, what do they call that when you basically okay, but you're calling for a vote.
I am completely confused here about this slide.
Okay, well, why don't we we kind of heard both sides. Let's have a vote on this motion, which is that council hold a by-election to be held for the vacant council position, the date to be set in accordance with the CPHO's directives and at the earliest date possible. So there's a bit of flexibility there, but I guess in the general direction of having a by-election at the earliest date possible. All right, I'll go through the roll call. Deputy Mayor, are you in favor or not?
Hello?
Yep. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah.
You even had music introducing you.
There's some music or something in the background. Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, so that motion reads that council hold a by-election to be held for the vacant council position, the date to be set in accordance with the Chief Public Health Officer's directives and at the earliest date possible. That's the motion. So.
My vote is no.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, no. Councillor Lafferty?
Well, I voted. I'm going to vote for.
Okay. Councillor Belfontaine?
No for now.
Okay. Councillor McPherson?
I'm going to support the vote.
Okay, that's yes. Councillor Grote?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Hassan?
No.
No. Councillor Morrow?
No.
No. So that's 4 against 3, 4. So the motion fails. I think we can take that we should just have a further discussion and start afresh on Monday. We'll see where we're at then. And is there any just general information you want to pass before we go to excuse ourselves from the meeting here? Okay.
I think Mike covered most of this, the Elections Act stuff.
Okay. Well, I need a mover and a seconder now to basically shut the meeting down.
Before or after this, one or the other?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn the meeting. Okay, the council adjourn regular, special meeting. What's the number on that? 04, 2020
7:58.
at 7:58 PM. Motion moved by Deputy Mayor Antoine. Do I have a seconder? Seconder to adjourn the meeting at 7:58 PM.
Liza will second.
Okay, Councillor McPherson.
Daryl, you should check the date on your agenda. You have April 27th, 2019.
Oh, okay, back in time. All right, votes in favor. I'll just do the roll call. Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
Councillor Lafferty,
Yes.
Councillor Bellefontaine.
Yes.
To adjourn. Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Grote,
Yes.
Councillor Hassan,
Yes.
and Councillor Morrow.
Yes.
All right, that's 7-4, none against. The motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your attention during the meeting. Appreciate your attendance, and we'll see you back here virtually on Monday.
Okay, can I have a question?
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question before.
Go ahead. You just wanted to ask
Okay.
Daryl? You
Okay,
just wanted to
guys
ask
still
Daryl?
there?
Yeah.
Liza?
I think we're losing everybody.